So we did some talk together. Just share a little bit about where you were and what God did and how you feel now. All right.
So I was able to get some prayer at the last conference that we were at. I was dealing with a lot of pain. I carried a lot of pain in my life, and
Is that emotional or physical or both?
emotional, just emotional. And when something would happen, I just was overwhelmed with it. And so when he prayed for me, it was like he disconnected. He went back into to being a young child. And at that point, there was a place where there was pain trying to get loved from my family. And they were just not in a place where they could be loving, is they had a lot of stuff going on themselves. And I took the role of being like trying to not so much fix it, but try to be like a good kid, like to get so that they would always be as favorable to me as possible, trying to get that. And he, as soon as I started talking about it, he knew exactly what was going on. And we went back and he released it. And all I can kind of express was that it was kind of like pulling a string out and everything kind of unraveled. Or it's, I don't know, it just was like, it was compounded. So something would happen in my present day, and it would connect to something that happened 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years, and it would just all the way back. And it was so overwhelming. The pain was just so much. And so when he prayed for me, literally the pain just disappeared. And that overwhelming pain. So it was, so after that, and I was kind of leery, I've been prayed for many times, and, and I really believe that God does go deeper and deeper. But it was amazing for me to see that I could get into an overwhelming situation, and it just didn't knock me out, where I felt like I was so, I don't even know how to, it would be so depressing, so debilitating. It was so without hope because I was just smushed by whatever the circumstance was. So not only did I see that, but I started to see within myself, because at that moment where we went really back in time, we were able to go to a place where I was able to see God loving me. And I was able to feel that. So I realized that identity kind of was brought into me. So I began to dream again about things that like who I am. I remember saying this probably very recently to all my friends, and like, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. And I'm past that age where I'm thinking about retiring actually. So to say that.
But now you can finally grow up because you're retiring.
Maybe. So I began dreaming of things that I would like to do, things that I hadn't thought about for ages, things that had nothing to do with anybody else. And that people-pleasing thing that was inside me that was so strong was really like broken. Like, that is probably the biggest thing that I noticed from there, other than the pain being gone, was I didn't feel that need to fix it, to like if I wasn't pleasing the person, or I didn't have to spend the time to figure out, because I would read their micro expressions, it was a lot of work. And yeah, so it's a lot of work, and the Lord had been teaching me rest, but this was a really big piece in there, because that's a whole piece I don't have to do anymore, is I don't have to try to please people so that they can give me love. So that was another thing that the Lord did that with that. And then there was something else too, and it's just kind of coming out of my, just kind of.
Something about your memory, was it?
Yes, I have a much better memory now than I used to. Okay, not quite. But even the way so like, to say I was depressed, I had to do a lot of like work, like spiritual work, in order to be hopeful and to be full of faith, because it was really up in my head. And so littlest things could knock me out, and I'd be like, okay, I know I'm supposed to be full of faith, and I know but really after this happened, I just felt so much more expectancy that God would do a work in me, and that He was kind of on the job. And so recently I just had something at work happen, which all my friends are going to be shocked at, because usually I have something happen and I have to call and tell them, and like every little detail, so that they could hear the whole thing and understand how it really wasn't my fault, and I have to go over all that. And it was so funny, because this time I didn't have to, and I thought, you know what, God, you love me, you're going to work this out. I don't know, they might not like me, I don't know, but I just was not so connected to that. I have to fix this. I have to make sure they see me in a good light, my intention, and I just was able to let that go to God, which I've not been able to do. So this is all kind of a new thing for me, because this is not the way I normally operate. And then I'm also seeing with myself, and this is the kind of fun part for me, because I can see that I put a lot of energy into being loved, and being, trying to get the right circumstances and do for people, and some of it was not healthy either. Some of it was that manipulation that especially with the people that I live with, and that because I was always trying to get people to be on my team and cooperate with me, and so we could get stuff done. And so my children were so uncooperative, and my husband was very uncooperative, and then I decided to take a job where I have 25 children, 10-year-olds that are uncooperative. And it was just this huge thing of, I'm always trying to get people. So it's been very fun to kind of sit back and be like, okay, God, this is your problem. And where I wasn't able to do that, so the anxiety too, I guess. I just had so much anxiety because I was trying to be perfect, because if you work hard and it's up to you to get loved, then you have to be perfect. And I was so wrapped up in that all the time, and always trying to get the right plan and the right, and get the people to cooperate and, move ahead, and everything breaks down, everything goes wrong. And then I had so much anxiety, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. And so I feel like a lot has happened over that, and we didn't pray that long. And I feel like God just did so much by going back and releasing me. So.
Wow.
Amen.